this is Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com. Welcome back, welcome back. You know, we are all looking for the one, right? The one we hope is out there for us. We hope that person is out there. And if the guy you're with is him, well, I think you probably want to know. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about signs that he is the one for you. And before we get started today, of course, make sure you do the big three. What are they? Make sure you like and subscribe to the videos. And of course, turn on notifications so you know when the next one comes out. And then down in the comments, in that little area down there, make sure you leave me your questions. And of course, what you want to know next. I'll do it in my next video. And psst, stick around. I've got a great link to a very cool thing that's going to tell you whether or not he's the one for you. Stick around to the end. I mean, you might have even found yourself wondering about every guy you're with. Is this guy the one? Is this guy the one? Is he the one? And the only way you really know is if he turns out to not be the one, right? If you break up, well, I guess he wasn't the one. Let's face it, we often get together with someone for the wrong reasons at the wrong time. Now, of course, we can't possibly know if a person is destined to be with us while we're with them. But there are signs you can look for that will show you you've got someone that's worth sticking around for. Because ultimately, you don't want to be wasting your time on the wrong guy. And that's what this guy is here for. That's right. He helps you save that time so you don't waste it on somebody you shouldn't. Secret sign number one that he's the one for you. He's the one if you feel the pull. The pull is that inevitable attraction that we feel for somebody. But you have to also be careful. Many people in they let physical and sexual attraction replace their common sense in the process. The human body is designed to hypnotize you into believing you're in love with somebody. It releases all these feel-good hormones into your brain to cloud your judgment. That's why I'm always warning, hey kids, don't do love drugs. And that's why you also have to pay attention at the start so that you don't get pulled into orbit around the wrong guy. There's two kinds of attraction you have to feel if he's going to be the one. The first is, of course, physical and sexual attraction. That's the hardcore lust stuff where you just can't keep your hands off each other. The second kind is mental and emotional attraction, and that's where you're attracted to the idea of him as well. It's a different kind of attraction, and it's also harder to notice. Secret sign number two is that he's got the goods. Before I started coaching women on how to be more successful with men in relationships, I started out on the other side of the fence. I was coaching guys, men's dating advice for about 8-10 years in that area. Well, at least the qualities, I was teaching them the qualities that women look for in men, or at least should look for in men. And you want to be able to do the same thing. You have to look for the qualities that are good in a man. So let me share with you a few of the essential character qualities you do want to look for. A little side note here of the things you want in a guy. Character quality number one is honesty. Yep, it goes without saying. You can't have a strong relationship if there is no honesty. In fact, I usually leave trust out completely because if you have the honesty, well, the trust usually comes naturally. Character quality number two is communication. Again, he's got to be a reasonably well-intentioned communicator. Guys will fumble and fail when it comes to communicating their feelings and needs, but they can be trained, and that's where you come into the picture. Women are so much better at that. And communication ties in directly with your method of handling conflict in your relationship. So if your conflict resolution styles don't match, again, you're going to have a tough time. Character quality number three is stability. He's got to be stable. We all know life can get crazy, and you maybe need a guy that is solid in himself. You can't have a guy that's off the rails all the time. That's not a guy that's stable. You need that stability in a man. And character quality number four is open and growing. If you want to be happy with this guy throughout the years, married or not, you got to choose a guy who's capable of being open with you instead of being closed off. And he has to show you that he's capable of growth. If the guy you're with isn't growing, he's withering and dying. And that will always hurt your relationship in the process. All right, jumping forward to secret sign number three, he's your Lego. When it comes to the question of compatibility, you want to be sure your man is someone that will complement you, which means he'll embrace and improve you by being with you, right? The same way that the right wine goes with the right meal. I like to say that you two fit together like Lego blocks that just make a good fit, and that's the best thing you can have in your relationship. This means that you don't really have to think or consider compatibility even, right? You ever notice that? Certain relationships, you don't have to think about all the stuff you read books about. It just happens naturally. You just feel whole and grounded in your relationship with him because you really fit well with each other, just like those Lego blocks. Secret sign number four, you're not his rehab. It should go without saying that your man must be free of unhealthy addictions. And these days, there's quite a list of them. I mean, there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's gambling, there's internet addiction, video gaming addiction, sex, shopping, phone, social media addiction. That's pretty much everybody these days. Food disorders, risky behaviors. And it goes without saying that we live in a time where we have lots of spare time and lots of distractions. It seems like it's easier than ever to fall victim to those kinds of addictions. You want, and really you need, to have your man relatively free of those kinds of behaviors. Addiction can cause havoc in any relationship, especially if you find a guy that doesn't have them under control. Now, not all behavioral addictions meet the classical definition of a physical addiction like alcohol or drugs. For example, I don't really think that sex is an addiction. I think that's more of an unhealthy obsession, because you need to have withdrawal symptoms for it to really be a physical addiction. But again, you got to watch out for these things at the start and know how to spot them. Secret sign number 5, he's got some caveman. One thing that researchers find over and over again is that guys who are more classically manly are also the ones that women do better with in long-term relationships. And these caveman qualities really do turn out to be a good polarity for you to seek out in your relationships. Now, by manly, I mean the guys that have certain features that give away his genetics and thus his level of testosterone. Some of those secret signals are a deep voice, deep resonant voice. Women gravitate to men that have commanding low voices. There's a reason. It usually indicates he's got a good supply of testosterone. How's his hugging? A guy who needs more personal space, that physical space, than most other guys is usually more of the aloof variety, meaning he isn't as physically connected. But if he needs to be close to you all the time, well, that can also indicate an anxious personality type. So look for a balance somewhere in between those two. And what's his face? What is his face? Men with wider, broader faces tend to have personality types that correlate to, that doesn't mean it causes, but correlate to more aggression and more, actually less trustworthiness. It's my feeling that this one is probably a pretty weak reason to lose your guy. I mean, wide face? I don't know. Just watch for the behavior, not for the facial type. And because of time limitations here on this YouTube channel, I have to put some of these secret signs into the article, which means you can go see them at the site. Go over to datingadviceguru.com and look up the article there if you want to get all of these secret signs. We're moving on to secret sign number 7, which is you both show your dark side. Another one of the many ways that relationships work is when we don't shield our partner from our true self. If you're hiding behaviors or things about yourself from him in the hopes that this is going to make you more acceptable, well, it's not going to work out, and it probably won't make your relationship work out. The best pattern for a developing relationship is to take things slow at the start, but still be your real self. Don't be afraid to show some of your quirks as you go along, and more of them later on. If he doesn't love the odd stuff about you, well, then he's not the one for you. And then after a few months, you better be getting really real with him, or it's a sign. Whether it's anxiety about it, or if he will accept you, or the fear that you're not really connecting that well, you do need to know. All right, secret sign number 8 is defensive shields are down, Captain. When you feel like you can admit to your faults and mistakes, like I was talking about in the last tip, and you don't feel the reaction from him, you're probably in a very secure relationship. It takes a really unique and wonderful kind of trust and closeness to not fear the reaction of being human in your relationship. You'd be surprised how many relationships are built on this pretense of being a perfect partner, where each person is busy presenting the ideal version of what they think the other person wants. And it also speaks to the stability of your own emotions and lack of anxiety if you can be more relaxed and just be yourself. Secret sign, kind and compassionate. Without a doubt, you want a man that has a heart. He's got to be kind and compassionate, or you're going to feel very cold and alone in the relationship. It's this heart-centered way about him that will make a huge difference in many of the other things that I've been talking about here so far. And even if you have most of what I've listed without kindness and compassion, well, you're probably not going to do too well together, so make sure this one is in there. It's essential. Secret sign number 11 is open ears. Yeah, you got to have a guy that can listen to you. I mean, really listen to you. This doesn't mean he should listen to you when you stand in front of Sunday football adamantly announcing, "We need to talk." That's not the kind of listening, all right? That's just poor planning. If you feel the need to punish him this way, well, there's probably something more going on in there anyways. You want a guy that will be listening to you the whole week long before Sunday football, so you don't feel the compulsion to hit him like that in that moment, right? If he's listening to you most of the time, well, he's a keeper. Another important secret sign is you smell no smoke. Look, if you're really being truthful, you could have probably seen the relationship problems you had with guys you dated in the past if you'd only been looking, right? There were always these tiny signals that were just a little bit off. And as they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. But when you're with a guy who gives you no reason to suspect him or distrust him or worry about your relationship, you found someone pretty solid. And that's worth a lot when it comes to your future with him. Secret sign, your pride kicks in. Now, I'll be the first to admit, sometimes I would get jealous of my relationship partners. They may have had more success, nicer families, healthier childhoods, whatever it might be. But when you feel yourself actually proud of your partner, well, you found somebody that doesn't activate your feelings of insecurity. And that's also something important to consider when it comes time to align yourself, well, with your co-pilot, right? That's what you want. A co-pilot, a guy who can fly on this adventure of life and love with you. Secret sign number 15, he gives you a safe space. We men love to protect women. It's an instinctual thing that reaches into the very core of our being. Now, most women don't need the kind of protection they once did, right? You're very capable of doing that for yourself, and we have a society that supports that. But that doesn't mean that he won't want to be able to make you feel safe, right? In fact, you should never feel emotionally or physically unsafe with your guy. Never. Quite the opposite. He should make you feel like you're contained in all the right ways. And that safe space is also your launching off point to grow and become a better person and the best you can be for him. And finally, secret sign number 17, the future is now. One thing I've noticed consistently in many couples that stay together and they're happy is that they never really had to push each other to commit. It came naturally. It was a natural process to move forward with a relationship. So when you see signs of reluctance, you certainly shouldn't panic. It doesn't mean you won't be together. There are some people that just need time to get on board with the whole commitment thing. And that's why I actually created my Cupid Effect program. If he's making future plans with you, you can bet he sees that future with you. And that's going to be a great sign that he's the one. And you know what? You probably just want to know if he's the one for you. That's completely understandable, and I can show you. You can take my Is He the One for You quiz. Going over to datingfire.com, that's right, datingfire.com/Is He the One. Datingfire.com, Is He the One. Go over there and just take the quiz. You'll learn right away if this guy's a prospect for you or if you got to kick him to the curb. And before we go, make sure you do the big three. As always, make sure you like and subscribe to the videos. And if this is your first time here, make sure you turn on those notifications too. Click the little bell next to it. You'll know when the next video comes out. And leave me your questions and comments below. I do read them and I check them out to answer them sometimes, and that chooses my next video. Hey, this is Carlos Cavallo, the dating advice guru. Going over to datingfire.com/Is He the One. Take the quiz, and I'll be talking to you next time. As always, live and love with passion.